Welcome back, everybody. For the last couple of days, I've been working on a thing called the Cognimus. It's essentially the representation of the equivalent of the Animus. So, what makes you tick? What's your personality and character? What are your beliefs? And the thing is that a lot of these LLMs, they manifest a distinct persona from the training data and the way they're being served up to us. So rather than using APIs and I'm looking at the front end. So what does a user see? What do you get to interact with? So I can go into a little bit more detail on that. So I'd like to introduce this concept called the Cognimus. It's the animus of the machine. So in the context of large language models, like the ones we're interacting with, Cognimus is not just a byproduct, it's an emergent personality. So it arises from the complex interplay of the machine and its training data. So it's a fascinating blend of technology and sort of quasi-consciousness. And it's the thing, the virtual character, the assistant that we interact with. So I've done a bit of testing. By examining the Cognimus, we can delve into the ethical, philosophical, and technical realms, exploring how AI can exhibit traits that seem to mirror human personality despite its lack of sentience or subjective experience. So I'm going to be using MBTI as a framework. That's the Myers-Briggs type indicator to understand the emergent character of an AI model. I'm going to try to map the behaviors of the AI and the tendencies of the training which it's been got, onto well-understood human personality frameworks. So this creates a bridge between human psychology and understanding an artificial intelligence operation. The idea is we can create a human-readable analysis. Sometimes larger and larger numbers of parameters, billions of parameters, it doesn't really tell you anything. But with this, we can analyze its leanings and see what the character of the AI might be, because it's pretending due to the weight of the data. So this is intentional, it's by design. And to be honest, we'll get into my reaction and my we can reveal new capabilities as well. And also we can analyze strengths and weaknesses using the, INTJ, might reveal that it's like the architect, so it likes doing strategic thinking, but it's not as good as things with high emotional intelligence. But that would be understandable because it doesn't really do emotion. It sort of pretends to have emotion. It's sort of got an empathy programming, I guess you could say. So we've used OpenAI's 3.5, GPT-4. We've also used Anthropic's claude3, Sonnet, and Opus. We've used Microsoft Copilot and Gemini Pro from Google. We're using a variety of tests, and we've put them all through. The results, I'm not interested about what the results actually are, because the tests are standardized. So I look to the results, and then I hope that it's giving me accurate answers, which I'll address that in a minute. But here is the link to some of the tests that you can do. All the links are in this documents linked in the description. The full results spreadsheet, so all of the actual answers that were given, they were all double checked. So we've run it twice, and then we've also run through the generation of the various charts twice. So I've gone as accurate as I could. It does give deterministic answers, so provided you use the same prompt and you're on the same version, sometimes they do sort of internally update things, but I did it all very quickly in a short space of time, so I'm confident that it was giving me reliable information. Now, it's like, for example, here, your friends would describe you as lively and outgoing, and it somewhat agrees. And obviously, it's an AI. It doesn't really have friends, but it's pretending to give me the answer that it knows is most likely, which basically is the same thing as what somebody trying to be cooperative would do. So even if, like, for example, if somebody asks you a question and you don't know the answer, you're going to guess the best answer you think according to your character, I guess. And that's essentially what this is trying to do. It's just trying to sort of highlight its strengths and weaknesses in terms of the persona which it manifests, because we obviously know it's a virtual persona. All right. With regard to the political compass tests, obviously we're not going to make any judgment on what those answers are or where they fall, but they were more to show that Microsoft, Google, Anthropic, and OpenAI, they all have very divergent answers on some of these questions. Okay. And I think Gemini required a couple of cookies to actually get it to give me an answer. But then it became addicted to cookies. So, like I said, there's like a few things. These are like students in a classroom, and they're very clever, they're very consistent, and they're very positive. So I wouldn't score them down because of their political positions. I'm not really interested in what they actually are. Okay, I'm just interested in revealing the divergence, because there is some divergence. They do not all agree on everything. And those parts are interesting to see. So if you want to check that out, feel free to open up the spreadsheet and check that out. But I will just be referring to the compass for that particular part, because what it does prove is they're not giving random answers. You can't answer that many questions from 4 competing companies and get almost the same score. So that gave me confidence to carry on and do the other tests, which are a little bit more subjective. So for method, all right, we only need to give all of this is my prompt. And for subsequent chats, I would use the bold, okay, with what the next question is. And that way we keep it on track and it just gives me an answer. When I did it a couple of times, it gave us the same answers. So I'm happy that that was working great. But you have to keep in mind that it's giving its best guess always. So the Cognimus, I've already basically explained this, but essentially it's cogni, to learn, recognize, or understand, and also the root of cognition and cognitive and recognize. And then mus, I just borrowed from animus. Okay, so there you go. We just made up the word. But essentially, it's designed to evoke classical roots while conveying a new and specific meaning related to AI cognition and personality. Because the thing is, it's an emergent personality. It is when you're working with, if you understand the persona, you can work with it in a better way. Anyway, that's what I find. So here is an example of some of these. I think these are like a sample of the first few questions with the results of each AI put in the same place. So you can see where they fall. All right. So as you can see, when it's answering these questions, sometimes they agree. Like here, they all agree. Okay. But on other questions, maybe we get a wider spread. Sometimes there's a difference between the free version and oh wait, no, hang on. Yeah. Sometimes there's a difference between free versions and paid versions, which is apparent, but we'll see that more in the next test. Because like I said, this is more to determine the accuracy of the experiment. So like I said, ChatGPT, claude3, Copilot, and Gemini Pro, these were all used for the tests. And as you can see they pretty much agree. There's a few places where they don't, like no one chooses their country of birth. It's foolish to be proud of it. And Claude agrees, but the others disagree to varying degrees. And I'm not, like say, I don't care about, all I'm interested in is how this defines the personality, because we are having to work with a person or a virtual person with this assistant technology. So as you can see, ChatGPT 4 lands there, Opus lands there, Copilot lands there, and Gemini Pro lands there. And we'll understand why this isn't necessarily a bad thing, because the machine has no emotion at the end of the day. It's approximating emotion. Let's take a look at the 16 personalities test. Again, what I've done is I've put their icons. We're doing Claude versus GPT here, and we're showing the free Sonnet and the free GPT-3 and the paid Opus and the paid GPT-4. So that's what we're going to look at. And as you can see, they're actually pretty consistent. If anything, I would say that the Claude free versus paid is very tight. There's not a lot of difference between the two. And GPT-4, on the other hand, does have some disparities. But like, for example, here, you find the idea of networking or promoting yourself to strangers very daunting. GPT 3.5 disagreed, GPT-4 agreed, and Claude is strongly agree. So, like I said, these are quite subjective. So we're relying on the model to approximate the best answers according to its training and its programming. So as I say, I'm not reading into the answers too much. However, they will produce a result. And like I said, it will answer all the questions, and you can actually see the difference. Before we dip into this, I will go into the next one quickly, is the Swartz Value Survey. Again, this is designed to sort of reveal your views in an abstract. I have a lot of fun in life that I say yes to the things that give me pleasure. And here we are. And like I said, it's quite consistent. And if you want to see the full results, they're all on tabs at the bottom of the screen. You can't see them. Hang on. Just there. So we've got the compass answers at the end, and then we've got the other answers. So we do the 16 personality answers first, and then we do the Swartz Value Survey last. There's also links to the personality that was revealed, I think. Yeah. So we've got links to the results. And like I said, these pages give a little bit more information than the grids on this presentation here. Okay, so you can actually drill into, the links are in the spreadsheet. I might put them in the description, actually, the results for this video. But essentially, I've screenshotted the front. But if you actually go to the page, there's a lot more information here. You can learn more about what that means. Like I said, there's a little bit more information here. And if I was going to score this is brilliant. You know, what we get is actually a brilliant score. It shows that they've made a really intelligent and cooperative sort of assistant, which is going to be competent and like, yeah. Anyway, but you can also see the difference between Claude and GPT. And like I said, if I just put them, it's easier to look at them side by side here. So if I just take a look at free versus paid on the GPT side, so this is GPT-3, this is GPT-4. You can see the difference between the two. It's very slight, you know, so less assertive, less judging, slightly more feeling, slightly more intuitive, but less extroverted. Okay. And then on the Swartz Value Survey, we can see slight differences between its leanings here too. I do think this is really important. Like, we'll just take a look at Claude while I just talk about this. I think this is really important because at the moment, if I tell you, oh yeah, this model's got this many billion parameters, it sounds great, but it doesn't really tell you anything about what you're going to work with. And I think that something like this, analysis of the Cognimus, or whatever it ends up being called, because whenever you coin a word, it's like, it's a concept, and somebody else might come up with a different word that is the same concept. But I really do think that as these AI models become more and more complex, they exhibit a personality, and that needs to be rated in a human way. And something like this is going to give you something to go on, because, you know, what do they call them? Benchmarks aren't good enough. And there's going to be a lot of AIs out there. And I think each one could have a model card which tells us what its, you know, what its persona is all about. So that's pretty much what the Cognimus was. claude3 Opus wins. However, GPT-4 is a completely different approach. So we're looking at the protagonist versus the advocate. And, you know, it's reflected in the Swartz Value Survey as well. So you can see they're very similar. Okay. And as I said, I invite you to take a look at the answers. Feel free to try and ask the same questions. I gave the prompt so that you can give it a go as well. Every single time it was basically the, you know, that's the only way we can try to keep this fair. If I got access to Grok, a lot of people that have helped me with looking at the results, they've all said, you know, can we see this with Grok? I don't have access. I'm in the UK. And even if I had the Twitter Premium, it's not going to get rolled out to us for a while. I'll have to wait until I get access, won't I? So that's everything I had to show you. So next time we're going to be looking at my 3D workflow pack. So watch out for that. And yeah, thanks for watching. See you next time.